Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to Sunday stuff. Sunday, we're going to do some things today. 75mm motor to motor might be too small for Wallsnail. For like proper freestyle. I spent a bunch of time yesterday, the day before, flying a bunch of these guys, and I mistakenly went back to analog and put a 75mm analog rig up in the air, which is what you were just watching. And yeah, it's just magic. And like that really kind of I haven't flown 75. Here comes a little bit more. I haven't flown 75mm analog in a while, and I kind of forgot how good it was, but I don't forget no mo. And this is the performance that I want. Like, if I'm gonna have an outdoor freestyle tiny whoop, this is what I want. I want this power to weight ratio that you're seeing here. I want this flight characteristic that you're seeing here. What you're looking at is basically a Mobula7 ELRS switched over to BT 2.0, True RC Singularity antenna, which is working great. Look at the video quality out of this thing, right? But now look, I go up above my head and we start to get a little bit of garbage. But then when we're down low here, it's absolutely beautiful. This is the magic of the True RC Singularity Ultra Short. But yeah, it's interesting that you can really tell now that we've been doing some of this, having some of these antenna revelations lately. I'm starting to really notice this stuff, which is kind of cool. So again, this is a Mobula7 ELRS 1S converted over to BT 2.0, and then at the moment, which motors are these? Are these my crazy customized motors? No, these are just regular old, I mean, not regular old. Where did there they are. These are regular old iGal 802 27,000 kV motors with the 1.5mm motor shaft for extra strength, and then Gemfan 1610 bi-blades. That's it. Running on Weebleed FPV, just folded cell 450 mAh 1S batteries. You can get these from Tiny Whoop. You can get these from Weebleed. There's probably some other spots that sell these. Yeah, folded cell, 450 mAh, BT 2.0. Yeah, it flies really, really, really good like this. Let me hit you with a with an all-up weight. Mobula7 V4 frame. So dry 24.2 grams with this 450 mAh battery, 36.7 grams. So, but let's talk about dry weights. It's always easier to talk about dry weights. 24.2 grams, okay? 24.2 grams, 802, 27,000 kV bi-blades. Versus, did I say 27.2? It's 24.2. 24.2 grams versus the lighter of the Wallsnail rigs, 30.7 grams. All right, 30.7. And then for the big Wallsnail boy or girl, 35.1. So, and we're going to look at some flight footage from these guys in a little bit here. So, call it 35, 31, 35, 31, 24. We'll round this up. No, we should round it down. 24. 6 grams. 6 grams is the weight difference when you go up to Wallsnail. These two rigs are super similar. Same canopy, same 0802 motors. This has the customized 802s with the 33,000 kV stator, but then the same bell. So these are on motors that are exactly the same other than the KV. 27,000, 33,000. Same propellers, Gemfan 1610s, same canopy. The Wallsnail rig actually has a lighter frame. This is the Meteor 75 Air frame, which is 1 gram lighter than the Mobula7 V4 frame. This one has Wallsnail, of course, so there's that 6 gram weight penalty. Other than that, these things are identical. And this flies brilliantly for freestyle. This flies like a fucking Cinewhoop, which we've talked about in the past, and I've actually now seen some people calling out on Facebook, actually. Somebody mentioned, like, yeah, I'm starting to agree with Ciotti that Wallsnail on these tiny whoops, it just turns them into little Cinewhoops. I've been hoping that this one, so 65 millimeter tiny whoops with Wallsnail. We've gone down that road with the. Hi friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. This is my full-time job. www.CiottiFPV.com is where you can support me on the absurd adventure that is doing FPV full-time. In the chat, there's a bunch of beautiful people. I'm going to read one page of them, and then we're going to move on. Troy Prelad, Cole Powers, Wake and Bake, Frank Nicholas, Northern Tier, Timmons, Douglas Otwell, Danzil the Terrible, Raging Leet, Gusto FPV, OCD FPV, Hendrix Freakazoid, Alexander Lewis Hughes, Kevin Sumner, Apache Smoke, Wooden Sniper, Feigning Goat, Brandon's Baked Beans, Hendrix Freakazoid, Slow Cow, Wake and Bake, and Cole Powers. If you want me to read your name, you got to get in early. I love you all, but we have a lot to cover. So, yeah, we've gone down the 65 millimeter road. 6 extra grams on a 65 millimeter rig is a lot. On the Tiny Whoop 0702 36,000 kV motors, and on the Weebleed prototype 0702 40,000 kV motors. Unbelievably, the power to weight ratio is not the biggest problem. On these 75 millimeter rigs, it is, which is super frustrating, but we'll get to that. On the 65 millimeter rigs, on those two motors, the power to weight ratio inside the house does not feel bad. The problem is the weight and the latency. So like the 65 millimeter Wallsnail builds are super cool. Do not get me wrong, and I'm going to have one. Like there is going to be one that exists that gets flown all over the damn place because it's a little tiny toy. I don't have it put together right now. I took the AIO and the camera and the canopy and the VTX out to do more of this 75 millimeter testing. But as soon as I've figured the 75 millimeter testing out, I will not have two of these Wallsnail 75 rigs. This one will come back apart. It will go back into it's sitting right here. It will go right back into this frame that has the 0702 40,000 kV motors on it, and this is where it will live. Because for what it is and for the size, it's insane. It flies fantastic. Yeah, it's a little bit heavy for like hardcore indoor power loop, matty flip, off throttle stall flying, off throttle throw flying, I should say. But it's a little tiny toy that you can take anywhere and people will smile and laugh and giggle. The 75 millimeter rigs, it's probably the same deal, but what the 65 mil rig is going to do better is shoot the tiniest little gaps that you can possibly find. And that is very cool. That is a very, very, very cool thing. So yeah, I have to have it. Absolutely have to have a 65 millimeter Wallsnail rig. It's just too cool. So indoor Wallsnail freestyle, job done. Going up to 75, I don't think makes a lot of sense unless you're trying to fly it in like a bigger indoor space, like a mall or a warehouse or something like that. Then the 75 millimeter rigs start to make sense. But much like I think 75 mil is kind of like 4-inch, where it's in this weird in-between area, where like you don't have quite enough power for full tilt outdoor freestyle stuff, but then it's a little bit too big for the super technical indoor stuff. You can fight me to the death on that, and you wouldn't be wrong. And if you regularly fly at an indoor spot with no wind that's big, no wind is a big part of this deal here. Remember that. The 65 millimeter rig, don't even bother flying it outside in the wind. It just gets pushed around so bad. Let me play some more flight footage for you while we're talking through this. Because the flight footage is where I've kind of figured this out and how and why I've sort of figured this out. Here's a bunch of flight footage of 65 millimeter rigs outside. This is... I knew this, but it's always good to retest stuff. This was very fun, but with any amount of wind, it's just brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I really love flying the 65 millimeter rigs around these jungle gyms, but like I said, if there's any wind, it's a goddamn nightmare. And there was a little bit of wind on this day, which you will notice. You'll notice me getting just pushed the hell around. So yeah, indoor spaces, big indoor spaces, maybe 75 is the answer. The problem is you then bring that thing home and try to fly it in your house, and it kind of sucks. So like for me, I think we got to go ultra small and then ultra big, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Let me try not to get too ahead of myself. Yeah, basically I just can't, and I'm not done yet. I have a little bit more 75 millimeter testing to do, but essentially what's going on is I can't find a motor and prop package on for these 75 millimeter Wallsnail rigs that makes enough power. On this guy here, on the main builds that we've been changing, we went 25,000, 0802, 25,000, 27,000, 30,000, and now 33,000 kV on the Gemfan 1610 biblades, which are an amazing propeller. The propeller is not the problem. So we are now up to 33,000 kV on this, and I'm gonna play you some flight footage from this rig. I just need to plug it in real quick here and grab the files off of it. So yeah, it doesn't feel terrible, and if I was flying indoors at a very big spot, this might be awesome. I would kind of rather have more power out of it, but not bad. Not a terrible rig to kind of fly around an indoor spot with no wind. A bigger indoor spot with no wind. Sorry. Wallsnail. Why are there so many files on here? How long has it been since I emptied this thing out? But for outdoor freestyle, as you're about to see, it just doesn't have it. It doesn't have enough power to move around in the front of your house or apartment, in the back of your house or apartment. And it just ends up flying like a bus, man. It's not that bad, but it's also not that great. Here's some more 65 millimeter Jungle Gym bashing for you. This was hysterical, by the way. This was super fun. When there wasn't wind, when the wind kicked up, this sucked, and like there was so much that I could be doing, but then the wind was just pushing me everywhere. But other than that, this was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is the 36,000 kV 0702 rig. The power to weight ratio, the float, the tune, everything. This felt so good. And like, it's so nice and light, so you can really hold your line and just change at like the absolute last second. Like, you know, stuff like that. Like, it just falls through gaps, and it really kind of flatters you as a pilot. Something I did actually notice, I never fly these things outside. And so when in flying inside, usually it's low light. So the shutter speed will be fairly low, which covers up jello. Look at this. Look at me getting pushed. Look at the wind. Lots of jello. You know, I fly these things in. That actually cut. Was that the one that cut me? I hit myself dead in the forehead hard, and it actually cut me the tiniest little bit. Yeah, it's. I had a little tiny drop of blood on my forehead after that. You were saying. Yeah, no, it's very, very fun. Very, very fun to fly these outside. Shockingly fun. But, oh, yeah, right. The motor shafts are very obviously bent. You'll see it when I just cruise towards the jungle gym. Ready? Look how bad the jello is. Ready? Come on. There we go. There, here we go. Look at it. Look at it all jelloing up. Well, now it's going weirdly half frame rate. You can see it, right? Yeah. Look at all the wiggles and the wobbles. Which, I don't know, that kind of has me thinking that I recently learned that the motor shaft down below the bell, where it goes through the stator, is 1.5 millimeters in diameter. The beeping is me. Sorry, guys. It'll stop soon. 3 minutes. That's a long time. Yeah. It's okay, hold on, let me take a step back. So the jello here is being caused because when flying outside, the shutter speed is going to be faster. It's going to be, you know, 1/200th of a second, 240, 320, and that's where jello starts to pop up. And so these Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoops that I fly in the house all the time and crash really hard in the house. When flying in the house, the shutter speed is nice and slow, and that covers up the jello. But now flying it outside, there is some jello. Which is not the end of the world, but admittedly kind of annoying. And you can't just say like, oh, well, so then I'll just build one of these 65mm Ultimate Freestyle rigs for outside and only fly it outside. That's not the answer. Outside, you're going to crash arguably harder than inside. I wish that there was, and so recently I learned that on these motors, the motor shaft down below the bell is 1.5 millimeters thick, and then they neck it down to 1 millimeter thick above the bell. That's what most of our propellers are. I wish that was not the case. I wish that we had some high KV 0702s with a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. Yes, the motor would get a little bit heavier because we're adding metal up on top, but I don't think it would get that much heavier. Like, it's such a tiny little bit of extra metal, right? And what we would have is a fully indestructible motor on a 65mm rig here, right? Like, the 1 millimeter motor shaft, it does a pretty decent job. Look at the wind. You see the wind push me around? I was struggling to get down below. What? Ready? Look at that. Look at that lateral movement that the wind just put on me. I was struggling to get down here to shield myself from the wind. I never did end up shooting that gap, but that was a gap. So, yeah, I kind of wish... But then the other problem is propellers. We would need to beg GemFan to make the 1610 and hopefully the 1219S in 1.5 millimeter shaft versions. Look at the jello, man. Hold on, ready? You can really see it right here. Look at that. Look at that waviness. Woo! There's the jello right there. So yeah, got to do something about this. I mean, don't have to, but would love to do something about this jello situation that we're in here. Again, not the end of the world, though. It's analog. The video quality kind of looks like ass anyway. Yeah, sort of is what it is. Alright. You made it. I've had this little rig sitting on the gangly fan, and it is nice and cool because of that. Let's flip the switch on the gangly fan and turn it off. Wait, let me make sure I didn't over-discharge this battery. I probably just did. Nah, 3.68. We're good. So... I'll let a little bit more of this 65mm analog Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop play. So that's this build on the 802s, right? 1.6-inch prop, high ass KV 802s. The answer is not to go higher on the KV. Going from 0802 33,000 where this is to 35 or 36, that's not the answer. 0802 motors are just running out of steam. Also, let's look at the actual numbers here. All right. So you've got a all right. So the rig that I'm happy with the way that it flies, the analog build, is 24.2 grams. All right. So we go from 24 up to 30. Let's just call it an extra 6 grams. That is a 25% increase in weight. Okay. So from the rig on 802, 27,000s, I just love the power to weight ratio, the weight to propeller size ratio, all that stuff. We've then increased the weight by 25% by adding Wallsnail. And so blow that up. blow that percentage up to a 5-inch rig. 5-inch rig on a session 5, let's say, like mine, that's 600 grams. And then you add 25% weight to that. Like, so we build these 600 gram rigs on 2306s typically. That's kind of the right motor. And then for like 600 to 650 grams. When you get up to 700, 750, 800 grams on a Hero 12, you go to a 2207. That motor change, 2306 to 2207, is similar to like an 0702 to 0802 motor increase in size. The problem is that ain't 25%. You're not adding 25% weight to these to do that. 600 grams, 25% of that is 150 extra grams. Well, I guess you are. To go up to 750 grams, I guess you are adding 25% more weight. Wow, that's wild. So 600 grams versus 750. For me, if I was to fly a 5-inch rig that was at 750 grams, I would want bigger than a 2207. I would want to be up at like 2507 or something like that. And so I think that's what we're running into here. I think that the subtle step from the small step from 702 on the little rigs, 702 on the 65 millimeter rigs, up to 802 for the 75 millimeter rigs. I'm starting to feel like that is not a big enough jump in stator size, because I've tried to keep the weight as low as possible and just go bananas on the KV, and we're all the way up at 33,000 KV, and it's just not enough. So one of two things is happening: either the propeller is too draggy for the stator's volume, for the size of this motor, or we've gone like too high in the KV. I don't think that we've gone too high in the KV. I think the motor just doesn't have the grunt for the drag of the propeller and just the straight up, all up weight of this rig. Name of the game is finding the motor that is as light as possible, but has just enough power, but also is big enough to stay cool. The magnets in these motors hate getting really hot. And so my hunch at this point is that an 802 motor, with the all-up weight that this has, right? The extra 6 grams is what I think is killing it. Dragging around, so the extra 6 grams all the time, the whole time that this thing is in the air, it has to drag around that extra 6 grams, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a 25% increase in weight, right? It's in the 5-inch world, it's like a session build that's now also carrying around a Hero 12, a full-size Hero 12. Think about that. Think about taking one of these rigs and then hanging a Hero 12 off the back of the damn thing. The difference that's going to make in the way that it flies. Extra 150 grams that you're bolting onto the rig. That's what we've done. And so I think what's going on is that the 802 motor size is not a big enough heat sink. So as we're just flying this thing around, the motors are getting hot enough to where the magnets start to not work as well. And then the motor makes less power than it could. Sometimes it's totally obvious when that happens. Like an easy way to kind of troubleshoot that is to leave the rig on the ground where the motors are totally cold, and then just hammer it and just go full throttle and see how much power it has. And then you fly it around and the motors start to saturate with heat, and then you hammer it full throttle. And see if you get significantly less power. I haven't done that specific test with this, but it just doesn't feel like that. When motors are running too hot, like, I don't know, you can just kind of tell. That could totally be what's going on, and I kind of think it is. But, yeah, it's interesting. I thought that the Meteor 75 Pro with the 45 millimeter propellers versus these are 40s on the regular 75s. I thought that this would kind of myth bust that. Unfortunately, I'm starting to think that these Flywoo 1002s are just a weaker motor. So I've got a set of RC. Somebody told me that they back-to-back to these Flywoo 1002 23,500s with the RC and Power 1002 22,000s, and the RC and Powers made more power, made more thrust. Totally possible. KV is not everything. There's a lot of other things about motors that make them make power. And then MoFPV actually recently built it's a pretty heavy 75 millimeter rig with BetaFPV 1102 22,000 kV motors on the GemFan 1.6 inch biblades, 40 millimeter prop on the smaller frame. That build weighs almost exactly what this one does with Wallsnail, but it rips. And so these biblade propellers don't need 33,000 RPM to make really good thrust, was the lesson there. Because on 1102 22,000s, these propellers make great thrust on that build. Yes, that build is almost 3 grams lighter than this one, but still, 22,000 kV is very low. But 1102 is a big, beefy motor, and it's a big, wide motor that's going to stay nice and cool. I don't love the ratio on that motor, right? 1102, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. That motor is 5.5 to 1. 5.5 millimeters wide to 1 for every 1 millimeter of height. Which is a crazy ratio, but that is a ratio that is going to keep the motor very cool, right? The wider the motor is, the cooler it's going to run. The taller the motor is, the more power it's going to make and the more heat it's going to generate. So that 1102 motor is very wide and not very tall. And so that is the formula for a motor that's going to stay very cool all the time. And that could have something to do with what we're seeing here. So the RC, and I'm not going to order those BetaFPV motors quite yet. I got those RC and Powers on the way. That'll be the first kind of step. Those are going to go on this. I think. I'm also going to test, for the record, these are those prototype 0603 30,000s that Jesse sent me. I am going to try these. I'm very curious about these 603s. So 0603, the 3 millimeter tall stator produces great power. The 6 millimeter wideness of the stator does not stay cool. But it is nice and lightweight. These 603s are actually a lighter motor than the 802s. So this is just like a curiosity thing. I'm almost certain that these motors are going to get too hot. I think I have done this exact setup before, but I haven't retested it. I really like to test something, spend some time away from it, and then go back to it. And that's what this is going to be. But I'm pretty sure that these 603s are going to get too hot, which is a kind of an important data point too, right? If I notice that the 603s are definitely getting too hot, which is what I remember previously, that's going to help me down this path of, on a 75 millimeter rig with big old draggy 40 millimeter propellers, and the extra weight of the 75 millimeter rig and the extra weight of Wallsnail, all those things together mean that these smaller motors are just, they're not big enough heat sinks, and that's yeah, and that would also explain why these smaller motors on an analog rig that's 6 grams lighter is fine. It's got 25% less weight to drag around for the entirety of the battery, so the motors are able to stay kind of cool. Yeah, that's where we're at. On one hand, I kind of wish I hadn't flown this 75 millimeter analog rig, because it just made so much more work. But God damn it, I really, all of this, the end of the story here is that Meteor 75 Pro frame is awful heavy. I might actually end up stepping up these Wallsnail builds to a 2-inch propeller setup. Apparently the HDLRC 2-inch propellered tiny whoop frame is really durable. It's probably also really heavy, which is the problem with this Meteor 75 Pro frame. It's very, very heavy. But for a if it's going to be a freestyle rig for flying around outside, it should have the power to do it. So I'm going to prioritize the power, and then you've got your 65 millimeter rig for indoors, and then your 85 millimeter rig or 75 millimeter plus rig or pro rig, whatever, for outdoor and for like flying in big spaces. You could still take this to the mall and rip it around and nobody would be pissed. It's still plenty quiet. This admittedly, this is going to be a lot harder. See, like the main reason that I've been keeping these things absolutely as light as possible is for jungle gym bashing. But what I think I'm realizing is that the jungle gym is too tight. We'll see. This was the keep it as light as possible and do everything under the sun, 33,000 kV, to get the power out of it. And flying this at the jungle gym sucks. It does not have the power to weight ratio. It feels like I'm flying a semi truck. It feels terrible. Here comes some more flight footage. This is flight footage from this guy, actually. BetaFPV Cross AIO, Wallsnail Light, Mobula7 canopy, Meteor 75 Air frame, 0802, 33,000 kV Gemfan 1610s out in front of the house yesterday. And I was actually flying half decent, which is great. Here you go. So, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at, my friends. What am I doing here? Where am I going? Oh, is this the one where I crashed into the grass and it sat in the grass forever? No. This is the good battery that I flew. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. Let me let this play, and I'll get caught up on the chat. If you want to talk directly to me in the chat, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV into your chat message, and I will see that because it will light up an orange for me. You can do that with each other. If you want to get somebody's attention in the chat, just type their name, spell it correctly. Oh, yeah, so the other thing that you might start to see in this flight footage is a lack of PID loop control. That is kind of that is the other thing that I'm realizing. That is the other thing that's a dead giveaway. See how jittery it is? That I need more raw power. This does not have enough power and response time to, even with the PIDs cranked up. The D-gain slider is maxed at 2.0. The P&I slider is at 1.8. And now I'm having to move the master, see it there? I'm having to move the master multiplier slider up just to get more PID gains out of it. So yeah, like if you're having to go that far to get good PID loop performance, that's a dead giveaway that you have a powertrain that just doesn't make enough power. It doesn't matter how high the KV number is. If it's not making the power, it's just, yeah, it's not going to be there. And also that could explain that it's getting too hot. It's just, flying it around, the motors are getting too hot, and then the PID loop is going to ask for 100% at the bottom of a dive, and the motors are too hot. They don't have any more power to give. They're already at 100%, and you get shit prop wash handling. and both this 75 millimeter 33,000 kV, see it in there? See it jiggling around? Both this rig and the Meteor 75 Pro rig have this same problem. They just, I think in both cases the motors just aren't making enough power. I think that a 1002 can make the right power, can make enough power, but it has to be, it has to have a high enough kV, which I think these Flywoos do have. You're not watching that right now. This is the 0802 33,000s, but in a minute we're gonna watch the some footage from the other rig. Yeah, I think the Flywoos have enough kV, but they don't have strong enough or thick enough or whatever enough magnets. They don't have a tight enough air gap. They're not making enough raw torque, raw power. Whereas I think this rig that you're watching here, it's just getting a little bit too hot. All that being said, look how fucking cool this is. I'm very much in love with the idea of an outdoor capable Wallsnail tiny whoop for stuff like this. You cannot do that right there with repeatably with a rig that doesn't have guards to slow it down and give you that precision. Like a little tiny toothpick would be sliding all over the place in that tree, and it would be, you just wouldn't be able to get that dialed with it. Do I have one more here? What is this? Where? What? Where am? Oh yeah, right. This is where I ran to the edge of the. I actually fail-safe DLRS. It was only at 50 milliwatts though. 50 million watts is what it was at. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Is everybody still with me? I'm so far behind on the chat that even if you aren't with me, I won't know it. Let me get the footage off of the 75 Pro rig for you guys. We'll finish with that, and then yeah, if you guys have ideas or questions or whatever, we can kind of dive into them. But I just wanted to get that big chunk of info out of my brain so that you guys can start chomping on it and thinking about it, because that's what we do, you know. I'm gonna go in here. I'm going to make a new folder with 75. I'm just gonna call it 75. Ah, you fart. All right, so these are all 75, and then this guy here is 75 Pro. All right, and that's all these files. There we go. Great. Let's give that 2 minutes to finish up. Does that all make sense? Everybody still with me? Shout out to MoFPV for building a heavy 75 millimeter rig with 1102 22,000s. You know, this is how we learn. The extra 6 grams of Wallsnail changes the game more than I think I knew. I know that it changes the game more than I knew because, yeah, here we are, still trying different 75 millimeter formulas without something that's amazing yet. What I would say is, if you're looking for a really cool, as light as possible Cinewhoop, that's what this is. 60. You might think like, oh well, I'd rather do it as a 65 millimeter. The 65s can only carry the 300 mAh batteries, and so your runtime is very limited on the 65s. The beauty of going up to 75 with Wallsnail is you can run the 450 or even a 550 mAh battery, and you can get more than 2 minutes of runtime out of it. If you fly this like a Cinewhoop, you could probably get 3.5 minutes, maybe even 4 minutes out of it. So if that's what you're looking for, that's what I think the 75 millimeter rig, 75 millimeter Wallsnail build is going to do a really good job of. Yeah, the extra weight is just brutal. I can't believe. I mean, it makes total sense, but it's yeah. I really wanted to be able to get something like this, something this lightweight, to work. What just happened? Did it? It finished and then it unmounted the drive for some reason. Which begs the question, did it actually finish? 1.2 gigabytes? Yeah, that's weird. Why did it do that? Why did it unmount the thing? Hold on, I gotta power cycle it. I wanna delete those files from the onboard DVR. Come on, pop up. Where are you, little fella? Pop up right here. This is where you pop up. Do it. Come on. Where is it? What? What's happening? Why won't it come up? Let me unplug it. It's probably this stupid plug that they use. It's stupid. It's stupid. All right. Plug is plugged all the way in. Putting power to it. Pop up. Get in there. Where are you? What's happening? Why are you doing this to me? This is the HDZero memory card. I don't know what's happening here. Why is it not mounting? Is it too hot, maybe? I mean, the gangly fan is banging away over here. Maybe it's too hot. Let's give it a second to cool down. Maybe that's the deal. While we're waiting, I will put some of the flight footage up here. So this is the 75 Pro. Same deal. I'm having to completely max out the PIDs to get this thing to fly half decent. D-gain slider all the way up to 2.0, P&I gain slider 1.8, and then I'm having to move the master multiplier up. It does start to behave when you do that, but like I said earlier, that's a surefire sign. You see all the little jitters and shit? I can't handle that. I can't handle those jitters. I mean, you can obviously see though that like I am just kind of putting the nose down and jamming. I'm just trying to see what this thing can do. You can definitely tell though that this is making more power, right? Like that's very obvious. But now, so we've got like the raw power now, but the so this is the Meteor 75 Pro rig, just as a reminder. 45 millimeter propeller instead of 40, 1002 instead of 802, tri-blade instead of bi-blade. What's really interesting is I ran this rig on the bi-blade 45 millimeter propellers, and it was awful. It didn't have anywhere near enough power. So I don't know. I think maybe these Flywoo motors are under-spec'd in terms of KV. I don't know if the KV is right on them. They certainly do not perform like 23,500 kV motors. But we will myth bust that when the RC and power motors get here at 22,000 kV. So yeah, I mean, and like, look, right, for this really tight technical stuff, it's not necessarily that much worse. It's definitely heavier and it's carrying its momentum a little bit more, which I don't love. But for outdoor freestyle, you have to sacrifice some of that. Yeah. And now there's another option for the 45 millimeter propellers, which is the Newbie Drone Cockroach 82 frame, which I'm going to test at some point here. One of the things that I do want to look up, though, is what this frame weighs. Actually, does somebody mind navigating to the Cockroach 82 frame on Newbie Drone's website and seeing if they have a weight on it? And then can you also navigate over to the to the Meteor 75 Pro frame and see what that weighs, I would love that. I'll read it in about an hour from now in the chat what these two frames weigh. So yeah, my hunch, and I could totally be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. My hunch is going to be that the cockroach frame is not fragile, but not as stout as the Meteor 75 Pro. I would love to be wrong about that, but that's sort of my hunch. Let me see if I can get this. Let me see if I can get this rig to mount again. I think maybe the Wallsnail just got too hot and shat itself. Let's see. So yeah, that's where I'm at. What the hell? What? It just... I mean, did the Wallsnail VTX blow up? Like, is that what's going on? Is it broken now? Let's see. Will it transmit while it's hooked up to USB, I wonder? Let me unplug the USB from here. And then plug it back in. What will it do? Nope, it's coming up. Well, the goggles have booted, I should say. Yeah, no, I got nothing. Yeah, I think this Wallsnail VTX might have shat the bed right before our very eyes. Hold on. Let me test this battery. Make sure that I didn't over discharge the bat. Oh, nope. I destroyed the battery. That'll do it. That will do it. Oh my god, this battery is at 2.7 volts. Effed for life. F's in chat for this poor battery. No, don't. Alright, so let's plug a battery in with some actual voltage. And then I'll bet you it mounts. Wow! How amazing. Okay. So we're back. Alright. Wallsnail for life. Let's eject it. Here's one more. Flying the Meteor 75. For you. It was the Meteor 75 Pro was definitely more fun than the smaller, lighter rig. I mean that makes sense though, because this is, you know, we're ripping around outside, and it's a scenario that you just want that power. So yeah, no surprises there, but man, I really like the Meteor 75 airframe. It seems like a really good frame. I really wish there was a way to get it to work. I don't know. Maybe these RC and Power 1002 22,000s are the way. I'll try them out. I'll try them on the bigger propellers and on the smaller propellers. Let me see. Will it show the OSD elements? Oh, it's not. It's not showing the OSD elements. This is me turning the tune up even more. Which did help. Definitely did help. But still obviously a rig that does not have the right power to weight ratio for like proper. You know, this is flying like a lifter at this point. Not quite like a lifter, but it's flying like a Cinewhoop, to be honest. Which is not the end of the world, but it's also not great. So here we are. This is where we've ended up. See it there? See that? This is what the PID's cranked. Look at that. Look at them jiggles. Ready? I can't do it, guys. I don't have enough power. I can't do it. Yeah. And this is me adding even more PID gain to it. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me get caught up on chat. I have not dove into chat at all. That's the bulk of the conversation that I wanted to kind of have today. We need more power, but it's with these tiny whoops, it's this really annoying game of like diminishing returns. Put bigger motors on, put a bigger frame on, get extra power, but get a bunch of extra weight too. And we got to make sure that the extra amount of power that we're getting is like 2 or 3 or 4 times as much as the extra weight that we're adding. See that big wiggle? Come on. Fly better than this. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe these flywheel motors are just junk. We'll see soon enough. I'll have the RCM powers sooner than later, and we'll dive in. Cool? Everybody still with me? Does any of that make any sense? No? Oh, well. It's worth a shot. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? My dad sent the M3 stick ends back. So over on my Discord, there's a text channel, because I'm 8 years old, called Stick and Dick Ends. And in there, you can rent out a box from me with all of the M3 stick ends in it. The M4 stick end box went out and never came back. And I'm not totally sure where it went. It was like a year ago. It was almost a year ago that the M4 stick end box went out. And I messaged the person who I think it went to, and I haven't heard back. So I think the M4 stick end box is gone, which is very sad because that's like $300 and something in stick ends. So yeah, that kind of stinks, but it was bound to happen. These boxes have gone out to a ton of people. It was bound to either get lost in the mail or get lost under somebody's desk. So that's a shame. But we've got the M3 stick ends back. There's one person in line that they're going to first. Head on over to CiottiFPV.com, hit the Discord link, and in the Discord channels, down in the Patreon section, there's a text channel called Stick and Dick Ends, and it's explained in there how to get in on this. And you can borrow from me all the M3 stick ends that exist, put them all on your radio, fly them, see which ones you actually like the best, and then send them back so that the next person can get them. So yeah, thank you for sending that back, Dad. I gave him all the M3 stick ends at Christmas time with the QX7 for him to try. Bob Noxious with a rad full color printed packaging envelope. This man has sent me what is going to be the way forward, I think, for no duct in view 65mm rigs. Although this will be adapted to 75 as well. But this is a really cool little project that me and Timmons are working on. Timmons and I are working on that I'm going to show you in a little bit. But shout out to Bob Noxious for printing a bunch of these out. And he also marked them V1, V2, and V3, which is really cool. I didn't expect that. So, yeah, this will allow me to get a bunch more feedback over to Timmons on this really, really, really cool, super lightweight, super low profile, no duct in view camera mount. That's just awesome. It's reversible. You can run it right side up or upside down, which moves the camera up and down a little bit. If you basically, at the moment, if you run it down, you have to undersling your battery, and I'm waiting for Kelvin to get back to me with the 3D print file in order to undersling a battery. So basically, in this setup here, we'll just talk about it now. In this setup here with the camera a little bit lower, this will be a Wallsnail setup where you put the Wallsnail VTX on the top set of posts here, your flight controller AIO on the bottom set of posts, and then you're going to hang the battery down below the battery tray. The reason why is that with the camera here, the battery tray, in the middle there, that's where the battery wants to go. When I even it up, the camera's in the way. The camera is so low that it blocks where the battery needs to go. So we need to hang the battery down here. But what's cool is doing that Wallsnail on top, AIO on bottom setup, the AIO takes up the space of the battery tray. So it's kind of perfect. And then if you want to use this for an analog build, which we're working on, Kevin Sumner is actually also helping because he's got a whole bunch of these cameras. There will be analog camera versions of this, and then you just flip it upside down, and the camera lens sits up here, and there's a perfect space for the battery to push forward. When you put the battery into this, when you put the battery into the Cockroach 65 V3 frame, it goes all the way up front. Ready? The battery just keeps going, and where the camera is mounted now, the battery smashes into the camera. This battery wants to go forward another like 5 millimeters. So setting it up like this, technically you could fly this, but the battery, if you nose this thing in, the battery is going to try to push the camera off, and then it's not really going to be flyable. So yeah, you just flip this upside down, and then the camera is out of the way of the battery, and now you can build a really cool little analog setup with this, and I'm going to do both. So yeah, there's some adjustments that still need to be made to this, but this mount is really, really cool. Just super simple. Timmons did an awesome job with the 3D CAD stuff. I just need to get back to him with some adjustments. So thanks, guys. This is going to be a really, really cool project that I can't wait to dive even deeper into. And then a box from Dan Mullinger from Canada, all the way from Canadian land, which had this amazing early birthday present in it. This is a 3D printed piece that has LED light strip on the inside and this cool little controller box thing here. This is the same, not box, but this is the same controller that's on the Weebleed LEDs on the other side of the room that does all the crazy colors and shit. Yeah, this is rad, man. Dan, thank you so much, man. This is so cool. Of course, we got to have it in red. And so, yeah, I need to figure out how to power this. Right now, I'm just powering it off of a battery, which is fine. But I also need to figure out where it's going to go. This is not necessarily the final resting place of this. That's a weird way to put it. At the beginning of the stream, I was kind of messing around with having it over here. Just got to get it right. But, like, I don't know. When it's there, like, I'm kind of sitting in front of it, I guess. I don't know. I gotta figure out where it's going to... I feel like it should go over here somewhere, right? We've got, like, the red on this side. I feel like it makes a lot of sense to put it up here somewhere. But yeah, I just need to figure that out. I just need to figure out where it's gonna live. But very, very cool, man. I'm so impressed by this, dude. Thank you so much. This is such a cool little jibbo jabbo, and I'm sure we'll be changing the colors on that. And then Dan sent a bunch of stuff actually. This will probably end up in giveaways, but because I have a module and I have a spare module. So yeah, this Crossfire module will probably end up in a couple of giveaways, and then 3 Crossfire Nanos in here. So yeah, some really cool Crossfire fodder for future giveaways. He printed me a bunch of stuff here, some white McStinkies, and a couple of the Wallsnail adapters to let the Wallsnail light cameras work in some other canopies. So this is super cool. Dan Mullinger, by the way, is Danzilla the Terrible. Sorry, guys. And then a very cool Canadian certified drone pilot shirt. Unfortunately, this is an extra large, which you could fit like 3 of me in. So I think this might actually end up as a giveaway item. Just because, like, yeah, even with like a shirt underneath, like extra large, I just absolutely swim in. And this is a really cool shirt, so somebody should have this shirt. I don't want to just let it sit in my closet forever. So yeah, I think there's going to be a giveaway done with this shirt. Thank you so much, Dan. This is super cool. Dan sent me a bunch of his stickers as well. So the next round of giveaways that go out will have Danzilla the Terrible holographic stickers in them, which is just amazing. So yeah, dude, Dan, thank you, man. This is way more than I expected, and it was an awesome surprise the other day. I mean, come on, dude. Look at that fucking thing. Is that not the coolest shit you've ever seen? Certainly the coolest thing. I'm actually thinking about putting it right up here, right there. But yeah, I don't know. I got to figure out how to get power up to it. Yeah. Thanks, guys. There's the end of your mailbag. That's all I got in my mail bag. My mail ball bag is now empty. Yikes. So what else are we talking about here? We're gonna fly a little bit. I got a couple of batteries charged. Let me give you a closer look at this camera mount. Oh my god. Yo, the pin vise. Holy Christ, the pin vise is the jam. I had to drill out these brand new HQ 1.6 inch bi-blades. The pin vise is everything. It's just the way that you hold this thing, and you can keep the propeller like perfectly centered, and then you kind of cradle this thing in your pinky here, and then because when you're drilling these props out, you want to be careful. You don't want like a drill where it's spinning fast or kind of like jerking around. This just has this amazing little amount of precision where you just take your propeller, put it on, take just the right amount of material off. Pin vise, man. If you missed last stream, I have a whole shitload of pin vices for sale, with 0.99 millimeter and 1.5 millimeter drill bits included. It's $40 because the drill bits are expensive and the pin vices are actually kind of expensive too. And I'm trying to make a couple of dollars, and I got to package them, and I, pay your shipping and all that good stuff. If you PayPal me $40 and you say, yo, pin vice me, and put your address in there, I will send you a double-sided pin vise, just like what I have, a 0.99 with a 0.99 millimeter drill bit and a 1.5 millimeter drill bit. And you can stop ruining motors. For $40, this will save you from having to buy another set of $40 motors at some point, because this will allow you to not ruin your existing motors from propellers that fit too tight. It's starting to become really obvious that if you turn the propeller while you're putting it onto the motor shaft and you turn it to remove it, you are putting too much twisting force into the motor shaft on the bell, and it's going to eventually drop. The motor shaft is going to drop from the bell, and then you got to play this annoying game of getting Loctite 638 and trying to only get it in the exact right spot where the bell meets the motor shaft, and it's just a nightmare. Don't do that. Get yourself a Clone Proper Deluxe. This is how you're going to take your propellers off. This pushes against the motor shaft and the propeller, so it's not pushing on the bell at all. So this is how you're going to remove your propellers, and then you're going to use your pin vise with the proper drill bits to drill your propellers out just the right amount, so that when you push the propeller onto the motor shaft, you're not having to cram it on there. There's a C-clip. You got your motor shaft, there's a C-clip, and then this is the bell, right? Imagine my knuckles here are the bell. There's a C-clip that's right here. So you can push the propeller on really hard, and that C-clip will keep the motor shaft from slipping. it's pulling the motor. It's so versus when you twist the shaft on, it's trying to rotate the motor shaft on the motor bell. So yeah, pushing perfectly down on the propellers to put them on, and then lifting them straight up and off with the prop popper or the clone popper. That's how you save your tiny whoop motors from spinning shafts on the bells. You have a tiny whoop motor right now somewhere that it's about to let go. They're not very strong. A bunch of us are finding out. We've kind of known this, but they're less strong than we thought. Even with the knurled motor shaft, it's still an issue. So yeah, PayPal me $40 over on CiottiFPV.com. Say, hey, I need a pin vise. I need to stop ruining my tiny whoop motors, and I will get one of these on out the door. I don't know if I'm going to do more of these. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know if I'll do any more because it was kind of a pain in the ass to like find all the stuff. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Look at this. Look at this camera mount, yo. Look how good Timmins is. The little things, top, bottom, left, right. Those are inspired by tulip-shaped lens hoods for cameras. It's a way of getting yourself a little bit of extra protection, but not having it show up in the... Think about the field of view of the camera, right? The camera is widest in the corners, but then top, bottom, left, and right, it's not as wide of a field of view, so you can put these little protectors on it. This is something that we need to dial in. I need to actually do a build with this to see if these protectors are in view. But what's nice is if the protectors are too long, you then just come in and clip them a little bit until they're short enough. So I would actually rather them be a little bit too long. But yeah, this little camera mount is amazing. It goes right over the hooks of the frame. It stays on there pretty good. If you really want to stay on... if you really want it to stay on, you can take some E6000 and just put a little tiny dab of it right there in between the hook and the TPU, and I'm sure it's totally fine. I'm sure it'll never come off. And you could see how it's offset to the bottom, so I can flip this mount upside down, and that perfectly clears the camera of the battery tray. The battery tray is there where the bottom of my middle finger is, and you can see the camera is perfectly in the way right now. But if you just flip this mount upside down, it puts the camera, it centers the lens up here where my index finger is, and it gets it perfectly out of the way. Really, really, really cool stuff. And Timmins is willing to make this in a bunch of different diameters for a bunch of different lenses. So yeah, if you want no props in view from your tiny whoop, you're going to have the simplest, lightest, and I think the best possible way of doing it with these mounts available sooner than later. We just need to put some final little simple sort of adjustments, and then, yeah, off to the races we go. Technically, we can also design, Timmins can also design this with some up tilt. I asked him to do 0 up tilt for chasing the drift cars because I like to fly backwards a lot. But yeah, there's no reason that there couldn't be a little bit of up tilt dialed into this mount. Shout out to Timmins for doing this, man. Very, very cool. This is what we've been looking for forever. This will allow you to build a no duct in view tiny whoop that makes more power and is more efficient than the carbon fiber framed build. So this should be amazing for the drift car chasing rigs. I should finally be able to get some actual decent runtime. Which will be nice, and save some weight in the process. All right, I have completely ignored the chat for... Oh, wow. That says 4:27. An hour and a half? How the hell? All right, gotta go fast. Denzel the Terrible says, woot woot, Ganglies and CiottiFPV. Alexander says, you have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel. Apache Smoke says, hello, Gangly Gang. CiottiFPV, how's everybody doing? Wake and Bake says, your minutes are up. LMAO. In referring to, I needed like an extra couple of minutes before the stream started. Denzel the Terrible says, hey, I know that guy. It's CiottiFPV. CMYK says, what's up? Smoking Dog Cujo YouTube did the thing. Where did Smoking Dog Cujo's comment go? There it is. He says, what motors have you tried the 1002 24,000 kV? The 1002 24,000 kV he's referring to are the Hype Train Dime motors. I ordered a set, but then they don't have motor plugs on them, and I just got frustrated and sold them to somebody. Down the road, I might order another set, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Dennis Matovich says, is there a height difference between the frames? I don't know which frames you're talking about, but in theory, I was talking about the 75 millimeter rigs. There is a slight height difference. The Meteor 75 airframe is the slimmest. The Meteor 75, I'm sorry, so yeah, this is the slimmest. You can see the battery goes right in the middle there. This is the second most slim, I think. This is the Mobula7 V4. The battery hangs down a little bit lower on this one. And then there's also the Meteor 75 Pro, which is very similar to the Meteor 75 Air. So there's the slim. There's not a significant difference between the three of them, to be honest. I mean, there is a little bit of difference, but the Meteor 75 airframe only works with cross-style AIOs, unfortunately, which is why it's so slim like that. The Mobula7 V4 frame works with pretty much any AIO. That's kind of something that I've been running into here. I can't put any of the Happy Model AIOs. I can't put any of the good Happy Model AIOs into the Meteor 75 airframes, which is kind of annoying because they don't clear. CMYK leaving the CiottiFPV.com link in the chat. Thank you, dude. Just don't crash FPV with a $4.20 weed number super chat. He says, Gangly Gang, peace and love from Rhode Island. Just don't crash FPV with the best but most infuriating name in all of FPV, as his YouTube name right now. Denzel the Terrible says, oh shit, you got your birthday present? Thank you again, dude. So cool. Scotty Scott says, I have a Mobula7 V4 that was throwing props. Couldn't get it to stop, so I put some motors I had on it. Put 0702 23,000 kV with GemFan biblades. Much more responsive than the 20,000 kVs that it had. Yeah, KV, when the KV is very low, like 20,000, going up in KV can make a massive difference. I think we're at a place on these rigs up at 30,000, 33,000, where we've gone a little bit too far on the KV, and we've reached the point of diminishing returns with the KV. You know what we can do, though, and I guess we don't have enough time to do it today, but if somebody reminds me, because I'll probably forget this, but what I would love to do, in the post-flight statistics, Betaflight will tell us what the maximum RPM was recorded from the ESC, from bidirectional D-Shot. What I'm realizing we can do is we can start to compare that with the actual rated KV of the motors. So what I want to do, and this is coming up, what I want to do with this Wallsnail rig is move it between a bunch of different motors. So right now it's on 802 33,000 kV motors. I want to put a fresh battery on this, take it outside, hammer the throttle, see what the maximum RPM that these motors can crank these props up to, right? Put that into that'll probably be a Discord post, right? So 33,000 RPM, for example, right? It'll be way higher than that. But, and then we can compare the maximum RPM that 33,000 kV motors will turn to, right? We'll do the math. And then we'll have that. And we'll have a comparison of actual loaded, well, no, it's actually unloaded, but it's in the air RPM. And then I put this onto 30,000 kV motors, and we do the same thing. And then we put it on the 27,000 kV motors, and we do the same thing. And what what I want to take a look at is potential RPM versus actual RPM. And hopefully what we can see is that on 27,000 kV, the gap between the actual RPM and the RPM that'll actually turn should be fairly small. And then as we go up in kV, we should see that gap increase as we ask too much of the motors. As you keep going up in kV, the gap should get bigger. Like the motors should start to bog down at some point, and that's what I want to kind of look at. That's way too much for us to dive into today, but that is something that I kind of want to do in the future. Be honest. How many people can actually understand what I was just saying? Type I understand if you actually understand what I was just getting at there. But I've got the motors to do it, so now's the time. What I want to try to figure out is where did we hit the point of diminishing returns. I also noticed something kind of cool from some recent Chris Rosser testing. He does in his motor testing now, he does response time testing, and he just tested a whole bunch of 7-inch propeller motors, and I noticed the response time on all those motors was significantly lower than when he tests 5-inch motors, which we knew that was going to happen. But what's really cool is he's done some micro motor testing. So he has some response times from 1404s, and even on a heavy propeller, HQ 3x3x3, the response time on the 1404s is actually better than the response time on 5-inch motors and propellers. Not by much, just barely better. But that's actually kind of cool because that helps with PID tuning. If your response time is quick enough, you don't have to go bananas on the PID tune. And so, yeah, it just kind of helps with PID tuning, and I want to keep more of an eye on that. But yeah, that was something that I noticed that's kind of cool. In my opinion, we need 7-inch motors that are even bigger to get the response time to where the 5-inch motors are. But for a lifter, you really don't need a response time that's that quick. But it would help. It would make with a big enough motor, you could make a lifter fly like a 5-inch freestyle rig. I don't know why you would want to do that, because you would never put a $3,000 medium format camera into the situations that you put a full tilt 5-inch freestyle build, but I digress. Thanks again, Danzilla Terrible. This shit is super cool. Scotty Scott, the way that you fix motors throwing props is you get your least favorite sharp-tipped tweezers, you take your propeller, you put these in there at like a 45-ish degree angle, and you push pretty hard and rotate it around. You can take the plastic and put a dig into it, but then the outsides of the dig will go up taller. And then so the inside of the propeller looks like this now. Looks like this now. You're going to dig in, and then where my knuckles are is the important part. This part gets worse, but where my knuckles are gets better. So it's like this, it's like that, and then it becomes like this. So my knuckles here will grab the motor better. So you do that on the top and the bottom of the propeller, and then you have 4 raised ridges in the inside of that propeller that will grab that motor shaft a lot better. It's going to ruin the tip of your sharp-tipped tweezers, so don't use your favorite ones because it's going to bend the tips a little bit. But it's metal versus plastic. It's just really thin metal versus kind of thick plastic in there. But that's how you fix props throwing off. Zero Taste FPV says maybe the HQ ultralight 40mm props would improve it. They weigh 0.2 grams a piece, which is 20% less weight on the props. They will help, and I have paired them with these 0603 motors. They're not going to help that much, though. The problem is not propeller weight. The problem is the all-up weight of the rig, and just how much thrust needs to get produced to drag that around for the entire length of the battery. But they might help it out. The problem with these HQ Ultralight 40s is going to be their durability or their lack thereof. I can just tell. Same thing with the new HQ 1.2-inch YOLO props, as I call them. They're just they're sacrificing durability for flight performance, which is fine and dandy if you never crash, but I crash all the time. So, but I am looking forward to flying them for sure. Freelojo says, I have a PSR. Anyone in the Bakersfield, California area, please go help the pilot at the a PSA, not a PSR, PSA. Anybody in the Bakersfield, California area, please go help the pilot at the LZ Drift Fest swap and charge batteries to keep up with runs. Probably won't work, but hey, why not? Nice. Scotty Scott says, okay, the end of his comment was, much more responsive than the 20,000 kV motors that it came with. On 450, runtime is about 3 minutes to 3:15, but I use 350, but I use 550, and the runtime soars to nearly 6 minutes. I think your 450s might be old and tired. You should not go from 3 minutes to 6 minutes from a 450 to a 550. That's wild. Or your 450s are rolled cell and the 550 is a folded cell. There's something going on there. 661FPV says, just dropping in for a minute, 2S 75mm is the way. Yeah, so that's one of the other options, is to go up to 2S on these rigs. The problem with going up to 2S is the all-up weight goes dramatically higher. So I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make 1S work. Because these 1S 450 mAh batteries, they've got the runtime, and they perform really, really, really well. Going up to 2S, even if we run like double 300 mAh batteries, like what I do on the tiny lifters, 2 300 mAh batteries is 600 mAh total versus these 1S 450s. So the 450 is going to be significantly lighter, and it's also going to be a lot easier on the AIO. There aren't any. I don't think that any of these AIOs are going to be all that reliable with running 2S voltage. The 1S voltage is going to be way more reliable, but I don't know. We'll see. If we go down the 2S rabbit hole, there's a whole different learning curve there. Simon says, I mentioned in the last stream I had to buy the 2024 heavy model FX17 cam from either OG Mobula, as no Nano 3s in the UK. Well, it came and I installed. You do not have to cut the OG canopy. Really? That is super cool. So that's what I'll do on mine then. On my Mobula 6 2024, there's going to be a stream coming up here where I put this into the clear version of the frame, and then I get rid of this stupid G-string canopy and replace it with the my favorite old school Mobula 6 ball sack looking canopy, and I will keep the camera at first. I'll do that change, and then we'll weigh it and fly it and see how it is. But then I am going to move it over to a Runcam Nano 3 at some point to save a little bit more weight. So yeah, the final form of my Mobula 6 2024 fully upgraded will be with the Nano 3 camera. But that's awesome to know that you don't have to modify that canopy. So in my opinion, if you get a Mobula 6 2024, the only real upgrade that's worthwhile, maybe you could argue that doing the 180 degree BT 2.0 lead is worth it, but the A30 lead it comes with is fine. To me, the upgrade you want to do is getting rid of this stupid G-string style canopy and replacing it with the old school Mobula 6 canopy, which is the best one that I've ever found. To be honest, don't do anything. It's so good right out of the box. Wait until this canopy breaks. Wait until this G-string canopy breaks or starts to tilt to the side, which is what a bunch of us that have had these and have been flying them hard are starting to notice. And as soon as you see that canopy starting to tilt to the side, just get it off of there and put the old school Mobula 6 canopy on, and you'll have a slightly better rig. I think it's going to gain a little bit of weight, but we'll see when I do that change. Skybond also says, you easily squeeze the thick part of the lens through the canopy and it sits outside the canopy. Works, but not great for longevity as the whole lens is unprotected, and the Nano 3 is far better in my honest opinion. Interesting. So yeah, we'll test it both ways. We'll see what happens to the weight, but it sounds like ending on the Nano 3 is a good spot. Alexander Los Hughes says, agree, 0702s with 1.5 millimeter makes good sense. So yeah, yeah, that might be the way. We'll see. I mean, it would just be so nice to have one less thing to worry about. You know what I mean? In terms of motor durability, in terms of these tiny whoops and crashing hard. Walter Van Den says, can you do torque measurement? Would it make a difference? Are you talking about like thrust stand torque measurements? Chris Rosser does those on his thrust stand. It wouldn't work for these tiny little motors because he uses a big weight. But thrust stand torque measurements are tough because it's like a loaded situation. Yeah, I don't know. Flight testing these things, as non-scientific as it is and it sounds, is kind of the best way, because we just can't. You can't simulate the situation that we have these things in, where you hammer them and then the inflowing air changes drastically, right? There's no inflowing air at first, and then as it accelerates, there's more and more and more and more. So just and it's pretty obvious which motor makes more power on these things. So yeah, actually flying them is still the best way. Scotty Scott says dry weight on the Mobula7 with 0702 is 22 grams. Yeah, I've done a 75 millimeter rig on 0702s. It's really, really light. Very, very impressively light. 16-bit says, what's up? Troy Prelog says, FYI, the Beta 1102 are about 0.23 grams heavier per motor. Heavier than what? I'm assuming a 1002, but which 1002? Troy Prelog says, hey, there we go. Heavier than the Flywoo 1002. 0.23 to 0.24 grams heavier. That's not a lot. That's not a lot of extra weight. I have a feeling at some point I'll end up getting the BetaFPV 1102s just to test them, because like there's so many. Yeah, there are so many variables with these little motors, just motors in general, in terms of how much power they make. The stator size has a lot to do with it, but there are so many other things. So realistically, like, just saying, you know, I've kind of not done 1002s justice by having these Flywoos and just sticking with them under the guise of, hey, they're 23,500 kV, which is the second highest. That should make the most power. I don't know. I've been more focused on 65 millimeter rigs. That's my excuse. Alan B with an 11.99 pound super chat. Thank you so much, homie. He says, thanks for sharing your knowledge. I enjoy watching your streams. Greetings from, I don't know that flag. What flag is that? What flag is this, friends? Oh! It was on there for a second. What flag was that, yo? There it is. What flag is that? Anybody? First person to guess it gets nothing. That's the way it works around here. You get nothing, and you like it. Matt Norton says, thanks again, Alan, for the super chat. It's beautiful people like you. They keep the lights on in this motherfucker. And, like, look how much it sucks. Like, if everybody stops supporting me, this is what you'll have. This is it. Like, you don't want this, do you? You don't want this to be the live stream. Surely you don't. Head on over to www.CiottiFPV.com and support my skinny ass, and these lights can stay on so you can see my big dumb face. Matt Norton says, where things are getting hard to get a hold of, can I put my Mobula6 guts into a Mobula7 frame so I can have multiple 75 millimeters for outside? I mean, you certainly can. The problem is going to be that the 75 millimeter build is going to require bigger motors. So like your camera, your canopy, your AIO, yeah, you can move those to a 65 mil, 75 mil, 85 mil frame. It's all the same. It's just, yeah, 702s are king on 65 millimeter builds. 802s are barely big enough for 75 millimeter builds. I think we're really starting to see that 1002s, maybe even 1102s are the way. 85 millimeter builds, God only knows. Walter says, I think overheating the magnet does more definitive damage as people think. I don't think it does long-term damage, though. I think, like, when the magnets get hot in that moment, they don't work as well, but I don't think it, like, fatigues them over time. I could... Well, why bother not knowing something when we can just type into Google? Does getting magnets too hot affect have long-term effects? When a magnet is heated above its maximum operating temperature but below its Curie temperature, it will experience irreversible losses in performance. MagnetExpert.com. Now we're talking. Interesting. Huh. Wait, what? Change in flux density as their temperature increases. For example, most magnets will actually display an increase in strength as the temperature drops. Right. And all permanent magnets will lose a percentage. Oh, here we go. Of their performance for every degree increase. Whether this lost performance is recovered on cooling depends on the material's maximum operating temperature and the temperature the magnet is exposed to. Very interesting. Wow, look at all this shit. Reversible loss of occurs to above ambient, maximum operating temperature cools. The performance returns to the previous level. Okay, so here we go. Irreversible versus irreversible. When a magnet is below its Curie, irreversible loss in performance. The magnet. This means if the magnet is then cooled, the performance will be weaker than it was before it was heated. Magnet that has experienced remagnetized back to its earlier strength, but it's not a cost-effective process. Irreversible loss is a result of the elevated temperature reversing the magnetization of single individual magnetic domains. Oh, interesting! This means that irreversible loss happens just once. If the same thermal cycle is repeated, no additional loss will occur, as each individual domain can only be reversed. So the permanent loss. So my main question, and I don't think we're gonna get an answer to this, but what my main question is, like, how hot is too hot, right? Like, are we getting them so hot that we're dealing with an irreversible loss, or are we not? Up to 150 Celsius, neodymium magnets are considered to have the best magnetic performance of all permanent magnet materials. But when elevated to temperatures above 150, their magnetic strength will be reduced. I think we're using neodymium, right? Maybe. So 150 Celsius. So what is 150 C in Fahrenheit? Wow, that's pretty fucking hot. 302 degrees. I don't think we're getting them that hot. We very well could be getting them near that hot, but ooh, that's hot, yo. My hunch is that we're okay. My hunch is that we're not getting them so hot that we're wait a second. Didn't that just say that there's no loss in performance until you get to 150? The degree change. Up to 150, they're considered to have the best magnetic performance. Oh, of all permanent magnet materials. Okay. Oh, here we go. Made from neodymium magnets, very low temperatures. Oh, all right. Now they're talking about low temperatures. At negative 135 Celsius, well, they're magnetic at this point. There's magnetic loss of. No, that's the bottom side of it. Let's consider interesting. Yeah, I don't know. We're all the magnet experts when you need them. Daniel1964 says, analog 75mm 802, 25 to 27, still better. Can it be upped 802, 30,000? I'll let you know very soon. I've got a analog rig right here that has the Frankenstein 0802 30,000 kV motors. So yeah, I need to move these motors over to this other frame, and then I need to drop this AIO in, and then we will do some analog testing of two identical 75mm analog freestyle rigs, one with 0802 27,000s, one with 0802 30,000s, and we can see if there's a performance increase. 25 to 27,000, absolutely go 27,000, hands down. Interested to see if 30,000 will... I mean, it'll certainly make more power, but if it's not a big chunk of extra power, then the 27s are fine. So yeah. Info on that coming soon. I actually kind of can't wait to figure that out. That'll be pretty cool. Hi! David Ciotti with a $15 super chat. Thank you, Dad. He says, every Whoop camera fund. Here we go. 135 goes to 150. Thank you, Dad. Very cool. Who's going to match my dad? That's what I'm supposed to do as a person on the internet, right? I'm supposed to incite riots. Hey, thank you. Alexander Lewis Hughes says 7.5 grams for the Cockroach 82 frame. I'm hoping there's another message in chat talking about... Well, I can look it up. Meteor 75 Pro. Meteor 75 Pro frame weight. 7.73. So they weigh the same. Okay. All right. They weigh the same. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you for reminding me of that. If nothing else, Alexander. Denzel the Terrible says, Oi! Use Finder tabs. I do. I have a window here with a million Finder tabs opened in it. Denzel the Terrible says, if outside is a problem for 75 and 65, why not lose the ducts? Seems pointless unless flying around people and fragile stuff outside. I thought the same thing for a while, but without the ducts, it's so hard to shoot gaps because it just becomes so slidey. I am, for a while I said like, hey, 75 is pointless altogether, because just remove the ducts if you want to fly outside. But then after flying more 75mm rigs outside, I kind of realized that's just not true. Taking the ducts off, it's more of a 5-inch flying experience for sure because it's slidey. But it's a totally different flight experience, and I'm starting to understand why people like flying 75 and 85mm tiny whoops outside. It's just a very like straight ahead, like if you see a gap you can hit it. Like it's just, yeah, for the same reason that we fly ducts inside, right? So that they corner more accurately, drive more like an RC car. It just makes shooting gaps a lot easier. And you can bump into shit and fly them around people and all those other things. But yeah, it just makes them track a much straighter line, and they just, yeah, they don't drift around as much. Denzel the Terrible says, I just use a male to female USB extension and a wall wart. That's probably where I'm going to go as well with it. Denzel says, you can change the colors and the patterns and the speed too. Yeah, you sent it like this, locked into red, and then I started pushing the buttons, and I couldn't get it back to solid red. It was doing all this crazy shit. It took me a while to realize that you have to hold the mode button down to get it to go back to solid red. So I was very happy when I realized that. Because yeah, when I took it out of the box and put power to it and it lit up red, I was like, oh, that's perfect. But yeah, I'll be playing around with the settings for sure. Oh, and the shirt is for giveaways as well as the Crossfire stuff. Perfect. Thank you, Danzilla. Everybody go subscribe to Danzilla the Terrible's channel. He is supporting the madness. And, you know, if you're a patron, you could potentially order some of the stuff that he sent over. Off Axis says, Nintendo just called. They want $1 million. You know what's really funny is there's almost nothing Nintendo about this. The font is completely different than Nintendo. And, well, are the rounded corners? No, the rounded corners aren't even, well, yeah, they are. Yeah. There's so the rounded corners are the thing that's Nintendo, but the font is not even remotely Nintendo. So yeah, it's funny. I thought it too. I thought that it looked just, I was like, oh great, we ripped off the Nintendo logo, but not at all. The font is completely different. CMYK says that logo on the shelf looks dope. It does indeed. CMYK also leaving the CiottiFPV.com link where you guys can go to support me. Walter Van Den says, I would buy the special tool, the drill set I have, a prop whopper. Good tip. I think you're talking about the pin vise. You know how to do it. Oh boy, YouTube, you just did the thing. Where were we? DW McGraw says, greetings, Zagreb. iOS changed Aaron to Zagreb, so I had to go with it. Yeah, it does that. I remember that from a long time ago. The first time on my iPhone I typed in Aaron, it kept suggesting Zagreb. I was like, what? What the fuck's a Zagreb? Dennis Matovich says, can you add G-force to the RPM table that you're going to build? Would be cool. G-force. Interesting. I never thought about that. I've only ever looked at G-force from a crash standpoint. And, you know, I'll see like 15G. I'll be like, damn, that would have killed a person if they were riding that thing when it crashed. The G-force measurements are there's only one single decimal point. I don't know if there's much value to that. That's a great idea, though. If I can remember, I'm going to try to take a look at that. It's a really good idea. My hunch, though, is that it's not going to be sensitive enough to pick it up. But if it is, that's amazing. I would just need to gently lift off and then just hammer the throttle and then just disarm, because the post-flight stats trigger from the moment that you arm to the moment that you disarm. They cover from the moment you disarm to arm. So I wouldn't want to like fly it around or do anything else. I would literally just want to like gently take it off with a fresh battery and just hammer it, and then disarm it. You know what I could? So I guess the test methodology would be same battery, charge it up, put it on the quad, gently take off, hammer it, disarm it, record those numbers, battery back on the charger, switch the motors out, rinse and repeat. Because that way it's the same battery, same internal resistance every time, coming fresh off the charger. And yeah. And then I can track the RPM. Might as well track the G-force. It's on all of my post-flight stats because I think it's hysterical. I guess we can also track the lowest voltage that the battery hits during that big full throttle stab. Yeah. Should we do that live? Should we do that on a live stream? The problem's going to be, where do I hammer the throttle? I could do it right outside the door. There's probably enough vertical space in the backyard to get a nice full throttle stab in and get like a 20-foot throw. I feel like we should maybe do it live. That'd be a cool live stream, wouldn't it? And then we bring it back in here and I sit here and answer the chat while I'm switching motors out or moving it, or moving the what can we call this central area? What can we call the canopy, camera, VTX, and AIO? What can be a name for this center thing that we then pick up out of one frame and drop into another frame? The control center, the control hub. What can we call this whole center section on a tiny whoop? What's a clever name for that? Anybody? 16-bit FPV says stock Mobula7 on factory tune. It tried to fly away on ASI tri-blades. Yeah, flies perfect on bi-blades. When you were putting those ASI tri-blades on, I bet you bent one of the propellers. The ASI propellers are so thin and so fragile. The chat just died. What the hell just happened? YouTube just completely shit the bed. That was weird. All of YouTube just fell on its face. Veritas Wizard with a 1999 super chat. He says, since your dad looks like Santa, I'm not taking chances. C and Rays, $15 for every tiny whoop fund. $5 should go to keep Teddy in the chewables. Nice. Amazing. Gear Fund 165. Look at that. All I had to do was be a good YouTuber. Thank you so much, Veritas. Very, very cool of you. Let me go to live chat here, and I gotta pop the chat back out, and I gotta get caught up here, man. We're already over time. I got places to be in an hour and a half. There we go. All right, scrolling back up. Oh, I'm gonna lose a whole bunch of the chat, aren't I? Oh, YouTube, you bastards! I lost a ton of the chat. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, when YouTube shit the bed, it deleted all the old chats. So, farthest back I can go is, I think that's Christian M. It's like obscuring the top of it. How about the 1003? That's right. There is a 1003. I think the KV is too low, isn't it? 1003 motors. Yeah, the KV is too low. 18,000 KV. Man, is that interesting, though. I am very curious. Very, very curious. Wow, even Flywoo has a 1003. Oh, but that KV is way too low. 14,800. That's a 2S motor. 18,000. A 1003 is going to make way more power than a 1002 or an 802. But man, that KV is low. 18,000 KV. What we would probably have to do is bump this up to a tri-blade, which is not the end of the world, but one of the things that we're really going for is flight time with these builds. So that's going to be tough. AliExpress has a 22,000 KV version of it. Hold up. Hold up. Ooh, 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 ooh. Pyrodrone sells it. 1003, 22,000. Yeah. I would rather do this than an 1102, to be really honest. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this open. Does anybody else have it in that 22,000 KV? I wonder. Stateside, probably not. Phaser, get FPV. Where was the get FPV link? Let's check it on get FPV. It looks like they only have 10,000 and 18,000. I'm sure they do. Nothing is ever available in the right size and KV that I need it from more than one shop. And the one shop that things are always available from, holy crap, it's available from more than one place. Open in a tab, you donkey. I need to do a race day quads order too. Amazing. Oh, yeah. Give it to me good. What? Nah, I can't do the orange and gold thing. All right, cool. Leaving this up. I got to do an order from one of these two places. Hi! Oh, what? Matt Norton says, I have the Beta 1102 in my Cetus. They have good power, but they're 4-bolt, not 3. Shit. Really? Oh, that's right. RC and Power did the crazy 3 and 4 bolt thing, so they covered us. No. How did... There must be a 3-bolt version of it. Right? Because I don't think Mo did a... Shut up. Stop it. I don't think he did a 4-bolt frame. So here it is. 22,000, 37 millimeter, 2022. That looks like a 3-bolt base to me. But I could be wrong. I think there's 2 versions of this motor. One of them's 3-bolt, one of them's 4. Here it is. 1102, 22,000. It's hard to tell, but it looks like there's a point in the front here. Yeah, I think there's a 3 and a 4-bolt version of the 1102. Like I said, though, I don't love the 1102 ratio of width to height. I would rather go 1003, right? 3, 6, 9, 10. This is roughly 3 to 1. It's like 3.5 to 1. So, and RC and Power makes fantastic motors. So, yeah, I think I'm going to go the RC and Power route first, and we'll see. We'll see. Bob Bruce says, over 160 degrees Fahrenheit will kill the magnets. Yikes. Walter says, you have learned something of me. Matt Norton says, I have the BetaFPV 1102. Oh, we got that. Blind Pyro says, I've managed to fit an X12 AIO into a Meteor 75 frame. You just have to shave a bit of plastic around the camera plug. Meteor 75 frame. Really? I just tried to do that, and it was really pushing hard on that part of the frame, and I just said to hell with it. I don't play games with that. I mean, it's only a 1 gram difference, but that's cool to know that it is a possibility. It looked to me like I would have to cut that part of the frame out, and I'm not doing that. Walter says, hop, 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 Mario. Louis Felipe says, hey, if you asked a question that I have now missed, because I'm now caught up on the chat pretty much, feel free to tag me again and re-ask the question. YouTube bombed, and I lost a ton of the chat. I apologize for that. Nothing I could do, though. Louis Felipe flies his Meteor 75 with 6-year-old nephew, Meteor 75 Pro, with stock antennas at 200 milliwatts. We have interference issues. Do you think Singularity left and right would avoid interference? All right, so here's what you want to do, Louis Felipe. One of you needs to go on race 1. The other one of you needs to go on race 8. That should take care of it right there. Just having maximum separation in your channels should take care of this issue. Technically speaking, though, yes. Having one of you on left-hand circular polarized and the other one on right-hand circular polarized would also help. Quad side. Goggle side, it doesn't matter. But on the quad, if one of you has right, the other one has left, that'll definitely help. But you should be okay. If one of you is on race 1 and the other is on race 8, you should be totally fine with like linear antennas, whatever antennas. So if you haven't already done that, do that first. Danzilla Terrible says the cockpit. A couple people said that. The bridge, Scotty Scott says. The torso, my dad says. Douglas Atwell says the guts. Oh, the guts. The guts. I think it's the guts. The stack. Yeah, I mean, stack is we already use stack to signify flight controller and ESC. So I'd rather not repurpose that word stack. It makes a lot of sense, but I think the guts makes sense, like the guts of a build. Zach says the dingle bob. Trey Prelog says stack in a hat. I like that. Veritas Weasel, thanks again for the 1999 super chat. Much appreciated. Alexander says center bit should be called the The gooch. There it is. That's the one. Simo23 says, couldn't you measure G-force by using launch control? The problem's going to be launch control when it stands up like this. It's kind of like bobbing around a little bit. And those tiny little hits are going to generate like 1G, 1 plus G. And so, yeah, I don't think we would want to do it on the launch. I want to just lightly bring it up in the air and then hammer it. I don't want it to be on the ground using launch control, like going forward like that. I want it to be, because the other thing is that launch control at different angles, I don't know how that'll affect it, right? I want to pick it up and get it dead hovered so it's fighting perfectly against gravity and do it there. You know, launch control, like, although it'll tell me the angle that I'm at. But yeah, I'm afraid that launch control is going to screw up the results because it's going to be kind of doing that thing. Denzel says, I'm actually surprised CiottiFPV hasn't started winding his own motors. I've thought about it from time to time, but man, when I see people do it, it's an awful lot. And my God, these motors are too small. Yeah. And look, like, I'm not going to, the nail in the coffin is that I'm not going to sit here and like hand wind motors and then expect anyone else to do that, right? It's like, yeah, it's cool that exists, but by sticking with over-the-shelf stuff, this is way more relatable, right? Like, if I can find an off-the-shelf motor that really works for this combo, then you guys can all buy that, and you don't, you know. So yeah, I try to stay away from the super customized stuff, because like you spend all this time, and then if you break it or you lose it, you got to spend all that time again. I really prefer to go with as much off-the-shelf stuff as possible. Rodrigo Bouvier, I think it would be, with a 5-pound super chat. He says, lost my Mobula 8 HDZero now, thinking to buy another Nano for outdoor. What do you recommend in the same size? Keep Mobula, different frame, different motors. You know, you're asking me at a funny time, because I don't. So HDZero, instead of a 6-gram weight penalty, is like a 5-gram weight penalty. So it's basically the same thing. But it does make a difference. Like that 1-gram difference does matter. On one hand, it's like, well, you could go down to 75, but I'm thinking about going up. So what I would look at is if they have a Meteor 75 Pro. Now, actually, Rodrigo, if you can wait, I'm doing a ton of testing right now. Let me not say, like, I think what might be good is this. I'm gonna have 2 sets of motors coming here, the 1002s and the 1003s, and I have another couple of frames that I'm gonna build. So just hold on. Hold on like 1 week, and there's going to be a ton of testing that happens on these 75mm builds, carrying around Wallsnail, which is a pretty much 1-to-1 representation for what you're looking at carrying around HDZero. So subscribe to the stream, hit the little bell icon thing so that you get notifications. Today is Sunday, tomorrow is Monday. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesday at, it's down here, Wednesday at 8, Friday at 7. These next 3 streams will have a whole bunch of info that's going to be super relevant to you. Tag me again during those streams, or at the end of that testing, and say, all right, lost my Mobula 8 HDZero, thinking about another rig for outdoor. What do you recommend? Because yeah, the info that I have right now is going to be drastically different than what I have in 1 week's time. Because right now I don't have a great answer for you. I do not have an HD digital 75 or 85mm rig that's blown me away. But I know that the part combination is here somewhere. I just need to find it. So stay tuned. Walter says, Bob said if you can't put your fingers for 2 seconds on a motor, it was too hot. He is right. Yep, that's the perfect test if you touch a motor. But the problem with tiny whoop motors is they cool off incredibly quick. I've pretty much never had a time, even when they're oscillating and flying away, I've never really had a tiny whoop motor that by the time I can get it into my hands and put my finger on the motor, it actually has any heat in it. Although the 603s did, but we'll dive into that this week. Steve-O says, have you ever tried 3D printed stick ends? Not 3D printed, but resin printed. Yeah, a bunch of the stick ends in the kit are resin printed, which is technically 3D printing, but not in the traditional sense. Walter says, is the Mobula 6 build only by Happy Model? What's that mean? Is the Mobula 6 build only by Happy Model? The Mobula 6 2024 that I've been flying is all Happy Model. Hopefully that answers the question. I think I'm missing something in that question, though. But it's 520. Shit. We talked about 75 millimeters being too small. I do have to fly something for you, though. And it's going to be 65. I'm going to show you guys the new ceiling fan. And we're going to try to perch on it. I have not flown upstairs yet with the new ceiling fan. So let's show it off. We're not going to fly HD. We are going to fly analog. And of course, I'm going to have to unplug and replug this because reasons. All right, that should come up any second. Hey, there it is. Here we go, my friends. 32,000 kV with tri-blades. Let's see what happens. Maybe it'll shoot fireballs. Maybe it won't. Maybe she's born with it. Be honest. Who in their head just went when I said that? Be honest. It's okay. Be confident in your masculinity. You're allowed to watch TV, and sometimes commercials targeted at females pop up. Doesn't make you any less of a man. The end of 1964 says, are you going to be able to get to the 75mm 0802 27,000 compared to 802 30,000? No, not today. No way. We're going to do that. I'm going to do the build off stream, I think. And then we will... oh, shit. I need to have some kind of a module in here. And then, yeah, I'll fly it and I'll show you some flight footage like what I did today. But yeah, I don't have time today, unfortunately. Walter says at AliExpress, Happy Module is for sale and pre-sale, but at Ali you have to be on edge to buy because they put other brand motor. Oh wow. That's what do we do that for? Why do I not have video here? What's happening? What's going on, HDZero goggles? You gonna work? Or are you gonna not work? They've worked so far. Hey, there we go. All right. Check this out, yo. Whoa, easy. Lot up tilt. Too much up tilt on this rig right now, which is gonna make it really hard to land on this cool new fan. Look at this futuristic son of a bitch. So the down rod is 4 feet long instead of being 6 feet long. So it sits up much higher. So like that power loop I was trying to do the other day, still can't do it. Still can't fly through there. The power loop I was trying to do from here would it be much easier. What the hell's going on with this battery? This is a fully charged battery. This is a working rig. Oh fuck. I think this battery might just be shot. Let's see what happens to the battery voltage. See how high it shoots back up. 3.35, 336. Nope, this battery was just dead. I put a dead battery on this rig. Cool. Way to go, donkey. That makes me think if that all these batteries might be dead. Hold on. Let me see. 3.87. Yeah, all these batteries are dead. Great. 435. There's a charged one. 3.8. Yep, nope. 3.7. Yep, nope. 3.95. I'll fly that one for a second. 4.36. All right, well, so much for 6 batteries. I have 2 charged batteries. And one that's half the way charged. So here's the 3.9 volt battery. We'll use this to go try to land on the fan real quick. Yo, that fucking thing puts out some breeze. It's a 60-inch in diameter fan, which is like for before you get up into like the big ass fans brand. I have to change this up tilt. This is unflyable like this. This is like 30 degrees. You can always tell too much up tilt if you don't have any ducts in view. That means you've got like 30 degrees of up tilt, which is an awful lot. That is much better. That's closer to like 10 degrees there. Yeah, so like 70 inches in diameter seems to be about as big as consumer fans go before you get into the world of these industrial fans by a company literally called Big Ass Fans, which I find to be hysterical. So this is a 60. And yeah, I can totally land on the fan blades. That's pretty cool. The question becomes, can I land on them when they're moving? I went with a multi-blade here. So that in the theory of, well, it'll spin the blades slower. Since there's more blades, it'll spin them slower. Hello, best friend. Hold on, this battery is about to catch on fire. Oh god. Oh boy. Let's just tumble down the stairs together. Okay. Alright. Properly charged batteries. Here we go. 2 batteries, and then we will break for the evening. And we'll come on back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. So, here we are. 0702, Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop, 32,000 kV. HQ YOLO props. It's the light blue and pink rig. It's adorable. Walter says, if later you need 1 or 2 motors, can you get the same motors at Ali or 1 batch only? A year later, you can only get them brand famous. That's weird that they've got different motors. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. But hold on. This thing, man. 702 32,000s make great power, even without the tri-blades. Oh god. Oh boy. That was a hard hit. Let's visit our buddy. What are you doing at the front door? Waiting for the UPS guy to scream at him? Look at this dog. Have you seen a dog that looks better than this one? You have? You liar. Don't lie. Don't lie to me. Teddy Spaghetti, I love you. This is the right way to do orbits. Stop doing orbits upside down, friends. Do orbits right side up. It's better. Woo, shit. Oh, no! Oh, boy. Oh, we are under the couch. Oh, no. Oh, no. Get out of there. Come on. Get out of there, little buddy. Come on. No, no. Oh, God. Oh, the label. Stop it. Get out of there. Stop it. No. No, no, no. No. I need to just the tiniest little. Boop, 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 boop. Teddy, get me out! Teddy, help me! Help me, Teddy! I ask nothing of you, dog! Help me out! Stick those stupid fuzzy paws under here! Oh no. No! I want out of here! I don't want to be stuck under the couch anymore. Teddy, help me! You worthless dog! Oh no. No. I don't like it under here. I don't like it. I just want to like nudge it forward just a little bit. Just a little forward nudge. Come on, get out from under there. Get out from under there. The dog. He gave up. Even Teddy gave up. Damn it! Ah! Hold on. Ah! Edward, I love you. Ugh. Ugh. All right, he's waiting for us. He's waiting. Where is he? There he is. Oh, that bushy beard. Ugh. Back up. Back up so I can launch it and you can jump up in the air. Ready? Ah, what a good dog. Where is he? Where'd he go? He's gone. Oh, that was cool. I don't know if I've ever done a throw quite like that before. I like that. Oh, God, now my phone's going off. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the throw, yo. It's the throw, yo. It's the throw. Whoa! How have I not done the loft throw more? This is ridiculous. Come in nice and low. Throw! Oh, my goodness. All right. I can't handle the quacking anymore. Hello, Tedward. Tedwardo's in the house. Okay. Last battery, my friends. If you don't hit the like button, you must hate Teddy. I mean, it's true. It's true. Do you want this dog to die? Don't hit the like button. That's it. That's it. Oh, Troy Prulog throwing down the gauntlet. Throw, and then come down and do the downstairs dive. Teddy, take it easy. Take it easy. Just relax. See that bouncing right there? That's what I don't know about launch mode. Watch this. He's gonna fucking chase it. Ah! He already did. Ready? All right, hold on. We're gonna try. We are gonna try. So, how can I do that? Go down low. Or up. See, the problem is I have to turn right then left. How do I do it? So I would need to throw up. Yeah, see, that's super awkward having to turn right and left. And then the reason why this throw works is because of the ceiling. See, the ceiling goes up like this. Ooh, wow. Yeah. I don't know if that's the best. Oh, that would be it. There it is. That's how I would do it. What did I just do? What did I just do there? Through up. And then, yeah, rotate it around to the left. So, oh god, that's the ceiling. Oh, okay. So, throw it up. Yeah, that's it. Oh, that could be cool. Rock around here. Just barely missed that. Just barely missed that! What you fucking think of that? How you like me now? Tell me to do a trick and I'll do it. Suck it, Trebek. Only once, though. Oh, boy. Watch your nose hairs, buddy. Watch those nose hairs. Hold on, let me see if I can get him to chase the damn thing. Like, full-blown chase the damn thing. Hold on. Hold on. I want to try to get, like... I want to try to back up. This is my chance. This is perfect. Alright, ready? So if I land it, I gotta get it yawed just right. And here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh my god! He's taking... Oh, yo! Alright, come on. Let's do that again, Teddy. That's the best thing I've ever seen. Oh, the little steps. Alright, come on. You got one more in you, dog? Come on. Come on. That's what she said. Come on. Get it. Get it. Come on. Get all interested in it. Get all interested in it. Come on. Damn it. You gotta, like, get him interested. Yeah. Stay there. Come on. Come get it. 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 I gotta find it like a run back behind me. No! Come on! Come and get it! No. Don't bite yourself. This is more important. Yeah. Oh shit! Oh man, the battery's dead. Oh boy, that is just terrific. Oh, CiotTFPV says do a trippy spin, not a chance in hell. 16-bit FPV says, I'm not sure if I bent the props. I was pretty careful. Of course, it is possible. Looking at the PIDs though, the factory tune is really crazy. Yeah, the a lot of these factory tunes are pretty nuts because they're putting really low power motors on, so they're cranking the tunes up to the moon to try to put a band-aid on the fact that they're putting motors on that are way too low of a kV, right? So that's partly what's going on for sure. Once you go to a higher kV motor, you don't need the PIDs to be as crazy. So back those PIDs off, and with the more, you'll get a better flight. You'll get better flight characteristics with a more powerful powertrain and lower PIDs. So yeah, there is a point of diminishing returns, but it doesn't happen for a while. So there you go. All right, people, I gotta get something to eat, and Maggie and I going dancing. Was there anything else I wanted to dive into? Pin vices, man. Pin vices, $40 for your own double pin vise with 0.99 millimeter drill bit on one side, 1.5 millimeter drill bit on the other side, so that you can stop ruining $40 sets of Tiny Whoop motors. I also do have 9 of the 0.99 millimeter drill bits by themselves, but my god, the pin vise is really nice to have. So yeah, get yourself a pin vise, stop ruining motors, and your life will get immeasurably better. No, it won't. It will get a little bit better though. Walter says there are small crossbows for toothpicks. You can shoot them. No. Oh my god. CMYK with the CiottiFPV.com link. And I think we're good. Denzel says YouTube just bumped me back 15 minutes in the stream. Yeah, that's when I lost my entire chat, unfortunately. Thanks for hanging, friends. Northern Tier is gonna order a pin vise on Monday. Sounds good. Here's a little bit more of the Meteor 75 Pro flying. Meteor 75 Pro, Wallsnail, Flywoo 1002 with 23,500 kV motors on the 45mm tri-blades. This is before I had cranked the tune up. Look how bad the tune is on this. Hot mess. This is before. This is when I had like the D-gain slider only on like 1.8 and the P&I slider on 1.6. The previous stuff that I showed you, I had moved it all the way up to 2.0, 1.8, and then I had pushed the master multiplier slider over to 1.2 to get even more PID gains. Look how bad this looks. You won't believe this. Love you guys. Bye!